everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Monday night. I'm your host, TJ Thompson. I'm so excited to be with you guys tonight. We have a fantastic movie that we are going to be reviewing tonight. Oh, my lower third just decided to slowly fade off on its own there instead of me turning it off. But let me quickly introduce you to my co-hosts. First up, we have the one, the only, Ryan Smith, back outside.
That's right. I got a shirt on with bears that have shirts on but no pants.
Huh.
And they're not Winnie the Poohs.
That's very like Russian of you? Aren't like the Russians big into bears?
I feel like short sleeve button up shirts are cool again. This happens in like waves. It lasts for like 6 months, so you got to go hard in the short sleeve button ups while you can.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into the shorty short movement that's going around. That accompanies the short sleeve button ups. I haven't do that.
Are we talking about short shorts?
And our next co-host, Kimberly Thompson. What do you think about shorty shorts, Kimberly?
On fellas, that's a hard no.
On fellers?
It's not cute.
I love them.
It's not cute. It's not cute.
Well,
I mean, that you're going back to the 80s, I think, if you rock that look.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm
Not
doing.
an
I got my
80s fan,
neon.
so.
I got my neon crap on right now. Like, shorts.
I do like your Naked Bears shirt, though, Brian. I do say so.
I just think about, like, in high school,
Or
if I would have worn
partially
shorts that were above
naked,
my
excuse
knees.
me.
Yeah, they're topping it. They're porky pigging it.
It's like the Donald Duck syndrome. Like, he's constantly naked on the bottom. But when he takes a shower, if you'll ever notice, they put a towel around his bottom, even though when he wears his top sailor suit.
That's TV logic. I mean, that's cartoon logic. That makes
still
perfect sense to
exposed.
me.
This might be a little too racy for our show, but Kim, not right now, but later on, you should Google duck anatomy to learn about why he covers up after he gets out of the shower, because ducks are wild. I mean, it's wild.
You're saying there's actual like thought put into this, unlike Donald needs a towel.
I just don't think you're prepared for duck anatomy. I wasn't.
And on that note, let me introduce you guys to what we do here every Monday night. We pick a movie, we watch it, then we come here and we talk about it. This week's pick was Brian's pick. It was Brian's pick, and he picked the Peanut Butter Falcon. That's right, Peanut Butter Falcon. Lance says you need to take the price tag off your cup. It is off my cup, Lance. Here, you want to see? Right here. I need some goof off to get the rest of it off. I don't know. It was a gift, and they pulled the price tag off when they gave it to me. So, go Bravos. All right, so tonight's movie was Peanut Butter Falcon. It was Kimberly's pick.
Nope.
Kim.
It was not my pick.
I mean, I'm sorry, Brian's pick. Why do I keep thinking Kim's pick is tonight? So I keep thinking it's Kim's pick.
I would probably never pick a movie called Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yeah. I guess that means you didn't know what it was about. All right, so let's take a quick watch of the trailer, and then we'll get into it. This is a scary moment because the card has no music, so it is playing.
There's sheep in this world, and there are wolves in this world. And I know that you two boys are just two weary travelers who lost your way. So, we're gonna clean you up right with a baptism.
I'm more a baptism by fire type.
Okay.
What?
Come to my wrestling school and become a badass.
That's what he wants to do with the rest of his life.
Yes, it is.
You let a half-naked boy with Down syndrome who has no idea how to get along in this world just slip out from under your nose. You two are close.
We are.
Well, then you'll figure out where he's at and you'll bring him back.
Are you following me?
Maybe we could be friends and buddies, bro dogs, and chill. Have a good time.
See the wrestling schools in Aiden?
Yeah.
One long road leads all the way down. I'll drop you there then.
I'm looking for a missing person. Have you seen him?
Little man on a lamb. Met your girlfriend back there, Eleanor. Two bandits on the run.
Oh, yeah!
Rule number 1, don't slow me down. Rule number 2, I'm in charge. Hey, what's rule number 1?
Party?
No, not party.
Zach, you have a young boy with Down syndrome in the middle of nowhere.
All right, well, while you've been doing paperwork, we've been doing something called living. Oh, man.
Tell her I'm gonna give you all of my wishes for my birthday.
I made a promise to him, give him that wrestling school in Aiden.
No, we're not gonna hop on your little raft and cruise around down the river.
Hey, Eleanor, I don't want to go home.
Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah.
So how far is it?
About that far on the map.
Are your fingers to scale?
Yep.
I think it's time for us to go back now.
We could be a family.
Friends are the family you choose.
Wrestlers got alter egos. You need a name.
Falcon. Peanut Butter Falcon!
Yeah, there it is. So Kim, was your pick?
It was not my pick.
I mean, no. Gosh darn it,
Dang,
Brian. Why am I so bad tonight? Why am I so
don't know, bro.
terrible? It's because I've
Brian,
had no.
I apologize for TJ.
I've had no
Tell us
caffeine
about
all
your
day.
pick. We want to
Hold
hear.
on, hold on. I want to get to these comments first. I was trying to set this up, Brian, for
Thanks.
your pick. So far, you've got Greg saying such a good movie. Russ, who didn't watch it because he says he loves peanut butter and Falcons. And then Bro Dogs
Bro
from
Dogs.
Lance. I mean, like your kudos are coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. You think you finally hit a home run tonight versus all of your other picks?
100% a home run. I think, man, I had heard people talk about this movie, but I didn't know a whole bunch about it. And honestly, it was my wife who said we should watch it. And I was like, all right, we'll try it out because I got to pick a movie for this YouTube show we're doing anyway. And man, this movie was made for me. Like the setting, there's no part of this movie that wasn't written for a person with my life experience. You know what I mean? Like the setting was perfect. The personalities of the people were perfect. It wasn't it felt almost like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Like this epic journey that was happening in regular events. In a way, I felt like this was a better venue, the wilderness movie, than the one we watched last week too. Like
Yeah.
I loved it, man. All those the comments in the trailer were perfect. It has so much heart. And I did some research after watching the movie because I loved it so much. And the actor who the Peanut Butter Falcon, the guy who played Peanut Butter Falcon, Zach. I think the writer and the director met him at a camp.
Yeah.
And his dream was to be a movie star, and they wrote a movie for him, and he was so good, dude. And I loved how I don't know, man. They did such a good job of treating him like a real person. Not, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's so hard to do in movies. But he wasn't a kid with Down syndrome. He was the star of the film. You know, like they did such a good job at it. And I loved it, man.
Yeah, he did a great job in that role.
Couple more comments for you, Brian. Lance says, great movie. Josh says, Brian finally picked a good movie. Diana says, such a good movie. Wow.
A message.
Wow.
I will say,
a good message, sorry.
Couple like just small things. I always like to pick out small things that are dumb. So we know this. We're coastal. We're coastal South people. So a few weird things like you can't just walk around on a marsh like that. You can't just go stomping off on a marsh and then swim to the other side of the marsh. Like mud or the oysters are going to tear you up, right? So that's not whatever.
Yeah.
And I cannot imagine the smell, right? Right? Like how bad.
That's
real
what
life
I was thinking. How bad they smelled.
that smelled.
So Kim was me and Kim watched this movie together, and Kim did not want to watch it. she's like, this is gonna like, do we want to do this? Like, this is gonna be a like. She didn't want to say put me in a funk or like, is it gonna be weird? I think that's what. So I guess what was your kind of take going into it, Kim, versus where you landed?
Well, the thing I love about doing this is just going into movies and having no clue. Like, I don't watch the trailers. I don't want to know what I'm about to watch. And I never know what I'm going to get with Brian's pick. And so based on the title, and I think last week, you guys had mentioned that it was a wrestling movie. So
we did.
I had very low expectations just based on the title. And I was thinking this is a wrestling movie. So it was surprisingly, I was caught off guard. This is a great story. It's a really heartwarming story. And I just think it was casted perfectly. And Zach did a great job, but I think like the chemistry between him and Shia LaBeouf and Dakota Johnson, like they all did such a great job. The story sometimes became predictable, a little bit. But at the end of it, it's just a feel good, heartwarming story. So yeah, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Like I said,
no, you're good. Well, Russ said Lydia and I loved it. So I mean, I think this is the most like positive comments we've ever gotten on a movie ever.
Part of
especially for Brian.
Yeah, it's a classic, like that Joseph Campbell story structure where you're in the safety of your homeland. There's that call to adventure, and you like it hits all the predictable parts of a myth, but they do it so well. And I think all the little character interactions, where a lot of times you get lost in movies. Like Logan Lucky had a few of those moments where just something, a character would walk into the scene and disappear real quick. And I like those moments, but this one, those little tiny character moments even had heart. Crazy old blind guy who baptized him.
Like the blind guy, he was one of my favorites.
Saltwater Redneck, man, such a great job of bringing heart to the last 10 minutes of the movie. Jake the Snake was in it, like.
There were some things that pulled me out of this though, and like you guys are going on about the cast, and this is a great like spot to interject this. I didn't like the local guys that they pulled. That pulled me out of it.
The bad guys?
No, mainly the guys that pulled me out of it were his boss in the opening
store
scene.
Clerk?
Like the boss in the opening scene that like owned the shrimp boat company or crabbing company that he worked at.
Especially when he gives him that beer and they sit down there.
That whole scene was super awkward, but it was because you had really good Shia LaBeouf against this guy that had, like, I guess an accent. So I think
he is a wrestler. I think he's an old school wrestler. I think that's why he was in it.
Maybe, I don't know. But I didn't like that. It pulled me out of it. And the same thing, like kind of with the gas station clerk, was kind of the same thing.
Oh, I love.
Yeah, he was a little rough.
That gas station clerk.
Yeah, like there was a couple.
They were
of
obviously
those...
looking for an authentic Southern dialect.
Yeah.
I did want to say this, TJ, in comparison to the 2.5-hour movie we watched last week to this, I thought they did a great job of giving like character development in short time frames. Like the whole thing with his brother, like he never really talks about his brother, but with these flashbacks, they did a great job of tying it in of like his brother was his family and now he's lost without him and he feels responsible and just he's spiraling out of control because he's lost that person in his life. And even like with the beginning scene with him escaping, you learn that he's been abandoned. Zach has been abandoned and now he's in this old folks home because he's a ward of the state. And just, I don't know. I felt like they did a great job of showing character development, but it was done in a short amount of time frame instead of the atrocity we watched last week.
Yeah. A couple more comments real fast. Russ says, we laughed out loud a lot. Love the screen chemistry between Shia and Zach. We'll come back to that. This kind of goes to your point about the Fable. Had a Mark Twain kind of feel. John Hubert says, nicest comments.
Yo, there's John.
There's John. We were just talking about you.
John, we are glad to have you back. We missed you.
I told Lydia that it'd be funny if his boss was actually someone from New York. But it was really great voice. Yeah. This movie had some sticking points with me, and I I hate to be that guy that's gonna rub against the grain, but yeah, I did not like the portrayal of this area in the movie, and it bugged the crap out of me the entire movie. So much so that I couldn't enjoy it.
It was combining like the bayou with
yes,
the coastal south.
It is not New Orleans. The music was wrong. Like the way that like they were grading and coloring things was wrong. Like the fact that you're going from the coast to a river, which if you live here is super obvious. Like they tried to make it feel swampy, and it's not a swampy area. Like they didn't understand that, and it
was actually in North Carolina.
Nuts.
And there was a cornfield that was supposedly 10 minutes from the ocean.
Yeah. I mean, that alone caused me not to enjoy this movie. And I looked to see like if anybody had mentioned any of this stuff online to see if I was on. Nobody mentioned any of it. And so I don't know if it's one of those movies that you can't say anything bad about. Like I don't know if it falls in that genre that no one just wants to get like scorched for. The three main actors did a great job. But like the location in and outs drove me nuts. The supporting actors, aside from Saltwater Redneck and the like garbage disciple or whatever you want to call him, junkyard guy, they're pretty solid. But the other guys in the beginning, I was like right off the bat when that guy came up, I was like totally questioning this film. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be like a Lifetime movie. Like it's gonna have these like terrible like we couldn't afford anybody. Let's just get this guy. He sounds and looks like the part. And then like I was finding like plot holes early on, and I don't know if I just had a negative attitude because of how they were portraying the area, like right off the bat, like the whole like I'm gonna hide in the marsh thing. But then like when he but then because it's obviously high tide when he goes into the marsh, but then when he comes out, like the water is like dead low, so it's like the marsh is like up here. Like that drove me nuts. The fact that these guys were able to track them, they were just magic trackers that could just find them in the middle of nowhere. He can't see him or hear him or smell him or look at his wake 2 feet away, but we can like trace him to like a campfire, like on some random sandbar.
Also, she's a really good tracker too, because she tracks
after they sink their boat or whatever, you know. So I don't know. It had a lot of weird sticking points with me like that I just it just pulled me out of the movie so bad.
It's because you're expecting the wrong genre of movie. Like this is a legend. Like you're watching it's a myth. It's a modern day myth. It's just like it is. It's like the whole setup is it's a classic myth just retold in a weird setting with different charismatic people. Like the ever pressing bad guys that are always chasing after them. It's almost like Greek.
No, I get it. It's like a fable kind of.
That's exactly. That's the whole point. Yeah. It's a fable about the pursuit of family. That used a weird Southern Gothic tradition.
Yeah, but I guess it seemed apparent to me that these guys that wrote it and directed, the two guys, whatever, like it's more about the story of elevating Zach and showcasing like his abilities. And they used a traditional story format to write a story around what they felt that he could do. So to me, it was like it seemed more forced and predictable. Where I was like, it wasn't. Yeah, it just did not land solid with me. I think, and you touched on it earlier, but you were saying it was a movie that hit all your buttons. I think if you care to share, would you want to tell? Because I understand. I don't even think Kim knows what you mean by that. Like, do you want to talk about like camp stuff at all, or?
Camp stuff. Help me out. I don't know what you're setting me up for.
Well, I didn't know if like working with I didn't know if like camps and working with kids, like if that's what you're referring to. Like, so I don't think Kim knows that story. I know people like watching don't know that story. If you want to touch on that at all, because I think that's why it landed. Like, I know your score, and you scored this pretty high.
I did.
I'll go ahead and tell you higher than me and Kim did. So like, I think you should elaborate on that backstory as to why it might have connected with you more.
Yeah, I mean, so almost all of my jobs have been working with younger people in some sort of development situation. When I lived in coastal Georgia, I worked at I was a first mate on a fishing boat I did kayak tours where I led families through the marshes on kayaks, and I worked at challenge courses, ropes courses, where we talked all about leadership and development. I'm a student pastor now. My whole life is about seeing potential in people and doing everything you can to pull that potential out of them. Like that's my whole thing. I talk about it a bunch. I'm a person who's addicted to potential, and I love seeing it, especially in the next generation, the young generation. And I think that's it's such a massive part of this movie. Here's a person who is misunderstood and underappreciated, but has so much more to give. And if someone would just give them a chance, then they can thrive. And that's my whole dream. That's my life, man. I want to give people the opportunity to thrive, to show that stuff they actually have inside of them. And that's the whole movie, and it was set in my hometown. Like not my hometown, but close.
Yeah, backyard for sure.
But yeah, I worked at summer camps where I had multiple students who were on the autism spectrum or students with Down syndrome. I had a student named Jackson who's in his 20s now, who his parents were addicted to meth when he was born. They both committed suicide. He lived with his grandparents. The only escape he had in life was to come to Camp Arrowhead, summer camp I worked at. And some of the most meaningful spiritual and personal developments in my life happen in situations similar. Like this movie obviously is way more grander and huge than those real life moments for me were. But yeah, I mean, like 100%. This, like I said, this movie is my heart, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. No, who's this movie for though? Like, who do you like? Do you recommend this to folks? I mean,
oh man, I would recommend this to everybody.
What about you, Kimber?
I would recommend it. I think it's a good, heartwarming, like a feel-good movie, because at the end of it, it's about two people who are lost and like without a family finding each other. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? Is it a movie that I would say this is the best movie ever and I'll probably rewatch it again? No, I would say to at least watch it once, I feel like it's a good enough movie to recommend, but it's not the best movie I've ever seen. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no.
That quote too, they said in that trailer, they said in the movie, it's not original. Friends are the family you choose. To make it even more like specific and personal to me, I'm frozen. My back. I was a primary counselor and an adventure-based counselor at a residential therapy home for adjudicated youth. So kids who were in jail, on the way to jail, coming to us instead of going to jail. They lived on property, and a lot of those kids were just severely abused. And we constantly had this conversation like, hey, your family doesn't have to be your mom and dad. Your family doesn't have to be your grandma or your grandpa who hurt you. Your family could be someone different. And if I was at Project Adventure still, 100, this would be a movie we watched every year all the time. Like, hey, this is, you know what I mean? Family is something worth fighting for, even if your biological family isn't there for you.
Yeah, no. Quick comment from Diana. She says, I think it's an inspiring movie. It also helps support how overcoming bullying and moving forward. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of a bullying component in it for sure. I looked at this movie in a weird way. Like,
yeah, you did.
Because I didn't laugh in it. Like,
oh man,
I never laughed.
I feel like there were some couple times. I feel like there was one or two times you laughed.
I didn't laugh. The only thing that really piqued my interest is when I thought he was dead in the back seat. And it's weird. And I wanted him to be dead. If he had been dead, I'd have been like, okay.
That took a turn.
It was worth it. But him being alive,
I talked to Sarah about it.
Left me empty.
It was too perfect of like a button.
Yeah.
I just one of those like I think you lose either way kind of moments, because it probably would be a better story if he wasn't alive in the back of the car.
Yeah.
But I like it better.
But then it wouldn't be like this heartwarming feel good movie, because then it would be just you end sad. Like, because Zach lost his best bud,
Yeah.
I thought that scene too. The whole Jabret scene. The whole Jabret scene I thought was what a phenomenal conversation. Like to me that was a super powerful moment. where he calls out the doctor for still treating Zach as if he can't live up to his potential. The chemistry between Shia LaBeouf and Zach was phenomenal. That scene in the trailer where he says, "What's rule number one?" and Zach says, "Party." That was an improv.
Party.
Yeah, it was ad lib.
That like he just
yeah.
Kim, what'd you have to say?
I was saying I see the holes that you're punching into this movie, but I guess it didn't affect me like to where I was like, oh, I can't enjoy this movie, because I think you got to look at it for what it is. You know, there's like going back to what I said, there's definitely predictability, and you know what's coming. Like the story isn't like you're on your edge of your seat, like what's coming next. Like it doesn't draw you into that. But to sit back and say, man, these two characters are finding each other and they're finding family. Like, doesn't that warm your heart a little bit?
It's 3 characters.
Yes. Yeah, to see the characters' transformations is great. Was in the back of my mind the whole time saying, man, look at this. It was a hard PG-13, I felt like, on the language side. A hard PG-13. In Shia LaBeouf's oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was about to say, I wish they would have taken this language out, because I feel like it would be a good family movie if they had taken all that language out. Because it has a good message, you know, like.
Yeah, for sure.
That was disappointing to me.
But seeing the intensity in Shia LaBeouf's character, and then knowing that he got arrested in Savannah, like these are the things that like I was thinking about, and the whole time I'm watching this, like I couldn't focus on the movie because I was like, as soon as it started, I was like, oh, I know. I'm done. Like, I know where this is going. Like, it just, I didn't, like, it felt, I know you guys are saying it's short. It felt long to me. Like, I was just like, will we get to the wrestling thing now? Like, because that was the turn. Like, you use Oh Brother Where Art Thou, where you have this kind of fable mentality of like, here are the obstacles, right? And there's like the 1, the 2, the 3, whatever, the monster or the serpent or the siren or the whatever. Like, but I was like, well, what do you like? There was nothing there. There was nothing. Like, even like the preacher guy, I guess would be the most. I don't know. Like I don't know. It just as a story altogether, it just didn't land with me.
The battle the whole time.
I see the
battle the whole time is that.
Yeah, let me say this one thing. I'll let you go. I see the place that this movie has, and the hole probably in cinema that it fills for a lot of folks, but it's like super niche to me. Like it's a super niche place that this movie would go over well. It's like a Fireproof. There's a super niche place that I think Fireproof's going to go over, or like that's the best kind of example I could give of how it kind of landed with me.
I'd say, but like with this movie, the main antagonist is, are we still underestimating Zach? And that's the constant, like, are we, even when he gets to the wrestling, like, are we underestimating Zach? Does he still have it in him? The main battle was that, like, how much as the audience are we willing to let him pursue his dreams to the point where he's getting beat up by Jake the daggum snake, who's going hard on him, and his like ability to pick him up and throw him off, all that was all the mythical parts. Because to me, I'll tell you, this movie makes me feel the same way Hook makes me feel, or the Peter Pan stories just in general. Did you guys ever see Where the Wild Things Are?
Yeah.
Remember that movie?
Yeah.
To me, it didn't do what it was supposed to do. This is a better version of what I feel when I read Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, Hook is in a different, completely different league.
Yeah,
to me, they're almost side by side in the way they make me feel. It
Not
feels like that.
Close.
Right.
Yeah.
I can remember sitting in class thinking I was gonna fly after watching Hook. Like this movie, I guess it comes from. I guess if you're someone who is around someone who has a disability like that, and you see them get bullied or abused, this is going to land completely different. For someone who was brought up to treat people all equally, And I am almost more of like a Shia LaBeouf character to someone like that, where I'm gonna be like, "Well, swim. You don't know how to swim? Okay, well, we'll teach you how to swim." You know, like that's just more of my personality. I I didn't get a lot out of it, so that's what I'm saying. It's a niche place that I think it lands for someone, and Hook I feel like is such a broader.
They're so close, man. Hook is about the people who lost their family fighting to find family. You could have plucked Rufio out of Hook and put him in this movie. They're lost boys searching for family. It's the whole movie.
Yeah, but he wasn't searching for family. He wanted to be a wrestler.
Well, he wanted to be a wrestler, but he was searching
Shia
for
LaBeouf
family.
wasn't looking for family. He was trying
But
to
he was.
avoid his past and his debts.
He didn't know. He didn't know he needed family, but
The unlikely coalition that becomes a family at the end happens because of Zach, because they both recognize this inherent need to take care of him and they want to see the good of his future, and there's like a romance connection there. I don't think it's a longing for family. She comes from a well-to-do family. So I don't.
Yeah, a well-to-do family who doesn't understand why she would devote her life to this thing that she's devoting her life to. But they talk about it all the time. He talks about it like we're a family now. Like it's always there. Even his old man neighbor or his roommate, it was about this personal connection all throughout it. Like when I watch Hook, I didn't dream about being able to fly. I mean, that part's awesome. But when I watch Hook, I get that crazy heart level longing for the thing that really matters. That's why I think Hook is great to me. That's why I feel like this movie fits in that same place.
Let's knock out some comments real fast.
Well, I want to interject real quick.
Sorry, Kim, go for it.
Since we're comparing to Hook, you talked about that fight scene where he like raises the guy above his head. That gave me flashbacks of Nacho Libre and the flying. Is it the Flying Eagle? What is?
Yeah.
So I mean, like that just came out of reality for me because you're like, okay.
It was supposed to take you out of reality. Like, that's the point of it.
Yeah, the ridiculousness of that. But.
All right, let's some comments. There's a bunch going on. This falls into the heartwarming, cute category that I would recommend for folks to see. I like the Shala hasn't really ever played a bad part.
True.
Even haven't heard of Nymphomaniac. Then he's a pretty dang good doctor. Well, except for the one weird me.
Actor.
Actor, not a doctor.
Sorry. I'm drunk, apparently. This is just, I mean, no.
Yeah, I agree, Dinah.
No.
I'm with you.
Nope. Not even, I'm not even going to read that out loud. Not even close.
I think the full story doesn't get it to that level.
I don't think the whole movie was dark enough to have him die at the end. Completely agree. It would have been better if it did.
Yeah, I agree with that.
In an interview, what does this one say? Go Gadget. In an interview with Shylin, Zach Shylis, I guess it said Zach really helped him to become a more humble person. And I could see that. I could see working on a set with a guy like that. Yeah, it would humble you. I think that's what Brian's experience taught him too. I think you're wrong on this one, TJ.
Yep.
They foreshadowed a family all the way through it. Well, you know what, Russ? I could take that badge away.
I would make you a super #1 fan.
super fan. super fan. No, let's wrap it up. I'll start it. This was a movie that I think is niche. It has a niche market. It drove me nuts that they portrayed where I live the way that they did. Right off the bat, I had a bone to pick with that. So I was just jaded from the get-go. I had nothing else to say. From that point on, I was super judgy. I was like, you've written a movie to showcase one actor that you met, and kudos, but that doesn't mean the movie itself was good. I didn't enjoy it. It didn't land very well with me. I will not recommend it to anyone unless they're a camp counselor or someone that deals with special needs folks or individuals that need to view it. I didn't think it was a very good film. A lot of the bouncing back and forth between marsh and river and cornfield and just random gas station to Blackwater junkyard, like it was just all over the map, and it just pulled me all out of it. The acting, you basically had 3 strong characters. I felt like that did do a good job. It just was rubbed me the wrong way from the very start. When this movie gets good, is when you get through the journey. If I had to describe, like, if we're breaking it out in the fableness, if you can make it through the journey of all the nonsense of being on the shrimp boats and them kind of meeting up on the raft and get past, the dude with the gun at the junkyard, and you get to the wrestling thing, from there on, it's okay. So if you want to watch it, watch the first maybe 10 minutes, skip, and then pick up at the last, 20 minutes, and you'll be good. You'll have the gist of it. You'll understand exactly what the story is about. With that being said, I gave it a 70. I on a scale of movies that are out there right now, I think that's where it sits. It passes by the skin of its teeth, and that's only because of the heartfelt nature of the writers and directors to give that young man a chance. So, who wants to go next?
I'll go. We'll let Ryan go
Kimberly.
last.
All right.
First of all, TJ, I feel based on the verbiage you used to describe this movie, your score's kind of high. So good for you, Brian. He didn't score you quite as low. There's definitely holes in this movie. The story is not it's predictable. It's not riveting. It's not anything new. You can see what's coming a mile away. But I'm not judgy, so I can put that to the side. Unlike TJ, and I can enjoy this movie for what it is.
At least you address the passive aggressiveness. You call me by name.
But I can enjoy this movie for what it is, and it's just a heartwarming story. And it's about two people who are lost that find each other. And just as much as Shia LaBeouf's character Tyler was taking care of Zach, Zach was also transforming and changing Tyler. And I mean, that's beautiful. So you can't, you can't just push the movie aside because of, there's definitely continuity issues. Like, one I do want to point out that did drive me nuts was they're going south. So if they're traveling south, the ocean should stay on the left.
Yeah.
It would change directions, and sometimes it's on the right. That's the thing that drove me batty the most.
It doesn't take a genius to figure out what side the ocean's on.
I know. I feel like someone should have said, "Hey guys, let's have them walk the other way." Like, that would have been you didn't even have to change camera angles. Just turn them around, right?
Those things drove me nuts.
And the whiskey.
Nuts.
Did you see the whiskey change?
Yep.
When the store clerk has it, it's only like half full. And then when he gives it a shot, it's like a brand new jug of moonshine, like fully. So, I mean, there's holes all in this. But at the end of the day, you just got to put that aside and enjoy it for what it is. So with that said, I didn't mention this. The acting was great between the original main three characters. There's definitely some stragglers that are struggling, extras. But so I gave it a 76. I thought it was pretty good.
That's a D.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
lower than I was
it's a
expecting.
C.
That's a C.
It's a-
76
it's a
is
C.
C. Low C. What'd you think, Brian? Obviously, I know what you thought. It's
Yeah.
freaking tastic.
So I think that Dinah hit it right on the head when she talked about Rudy, because if you were to go back and look at the actual facts of Rudy, his life, and even that one play where he ran out, and I don't know in real life if he actually sacked the quarterback. I don't know if Rudy ever actually accomplished anything. The reality of the situation doesn't change the heart of the movie. And this Rudy, Hook, to me, those are all the same level type movies. That's where this movie lies. This movie shows the best in humanity, like what humanity can be, could be, and the reality of the environments pale in comparison to what they're trying to show. So I'd say the same thing. Like, real Rudy, did the whole stands cheer for him like he did in the movie? Probably not. Was he really as bad as they made him out to be? Probably not. Like, but the story they were telling was bigger than the reality of what actually happened, and that's how I feel about this movie. The story is so much greater than the parts, and even they weren't background actors, but the minor actors, the minor parts, the bit parts of the movie, I thought they were great too. Southern accents are weird and wild, man. The old dude who owned that boatyard or worked at that crabbing factory, I met dudes just like him. I know some of those guys. So none of that.
They would act like that too. that's how they would act if you put them on camera. Like,
yeah, exactly. It felt like
awkwardly.
he pulled a dude from the marina.
I bet he's actually the owner of that location, and he only let them film there if he was like, I get a speaking part.
Maybe. But yeah, I loved it. I loved every bit of it, man. I think that it's a movie I would 100% recommend to people, and I would say watch from beginning. If anything, they rushed some of the developments, but it wasn't just Tyler and Zach. It was Eleanor and her pursuing like what really matters to her in her life as well. Saltwater Redneck, his storyline ended real quick when Tyler got hit in the head with a, whatever, a lead pipe that he got beat down with in front of all those people.
Tire iron.
But the way I feel about it is like he was a guy who had given up on his dream as well, and he went back to pursue it. Like he found his love in wrestling that he lost. Even what's that actor's name? He was Sandman, Thomas Hayden. Thomas Hayden Church. Is that his name?
I can look it up. Yeah, keep going. I'll look it up. Yeah, Thomas Hayden Church.
His from the first moment you meet Saltwater Redneck at his house to see the light come back on inside of him, I thought he did such a phenomenal job of going from the broken, down in heart loser to seeing passion and hope again. And just like Life is a Zucchini, man, hope and family is gonna always kill it with me. So I gave it a 5. It's the
All right, we missed your score because you flipped out. What was your score?
I gave it an 85 because it's the best movie we've seen for the show.
Wow,
that's crazy. So 70, 76, and an 85. It brought our combined average to this movie as a 77. Which you were sitting in the 60s before tonight, and you're at 71 now. You have climbed a tall mountain, my friend. Your picks have steadily gone up.
What is the Rotten Tomatoes score on this? I'm curious on how we compare.
I bet 77 is probably right at it. I feel like that's probably an accurate.
I bet it's not. I bet everyone is afraid to criticize this movie.
What?
Let's see.
I think that one of the biggest criticisms is that it is too saccharine. Like it is too sweet.
They need to shoot the guy in the back or let him die.
No. I think that I liked it because I think it was too sweet. I think I think they need to take all the F-bombs out, make it a family-friendly movie, and it would be way better to me.
Tomato meter, 96.
Yeah, dude.
Ooh.
Audience score, 96.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unusual for them to both be matching.
People are afraid to criticize it, man.
No, dude, you're just wrong, bro. People love it.
Let's see. I can't look at that. Never mind.
I bet if you live like in New York, you got to get used to your.
If you think that's the way,
if
you think that's the way that the South is, then.
Well, what I'm saying, like, if you live in New York City, you have to get used to New York City not being portrayed correctly in movies. Like you see in every movie, you know what I mean? Like you watch Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan, and there's giant mountains in the background when he's supposed to be in the Bronx, and you're like, all right, this is clearly in the Bronx, right? So maybe you're just not used to seeing your hometown misrepresented or your local area misrepresented.
That was it. Remind me in the post show to talk to you about a movie I saw. So next week's movie is Kim's pick. Hopefully it's better than this one.
It's gonna be hard to be better than this one.
I'm sorry, Brian. It was not as bad as he's making it out.
I mean, obviously not.
I gave it a 7.
For the past 2 weeks, Brian, me and you have been on the same track, and TJ's been the outlier. So,
despite my criticisms of it, I gave it a 70, which is not the lowest score that I've given it.
I even said that.
Yeah, it could have been better. They could have done better. It's like you wrote a bad song, PT. Bad song. Like it had potential.
I'd almost say it feels a little Fantastic Mr. Foxy. Like the whimsy of it.
That's what it wanted to. That's what it wanted to. It wanted to do this Wes Anderson like trailer thing, but they didn't shoot it like that. But they decided to use the graphics like that. But they didn't color it like that, and they didn't score it like that. And then they tried to do this Coen Brothers, Brother Where Art Thou thing, and they failed at that. Like they failed at a bunch of things when they should have just kept it, like low budget Christian film. They could have cleaned up the language and they could have shown this at so many more places.
Yeah,
it would have been.
I could use it for a sermon, no doubt. I think that you're confusing heart with the technicalities. Like
Maybe.
the Oh Brother Where Art Thou is technically phenomenal. They did, but the heart is what makes it a great movie. Same thing with Fantastic Mr. Fox. Probably because it was computer. I mean, it was stop motion clay animated.
Fantastic Mr. Fox is a great movie in every aspect, though.
Well, there's no way Wes Anderson can ever make something. To me, I'd be shocked if he made anything as perfect as that movie. But even without the technical greatness, the heart of it is what made it great.
Yeah,
and
Also, yeah.
And a little George Clooney.
Also, in this movie, did you guys pick up on the amount of ad-libbing that they were doing?
Totally.
So that was another thing. It was like I understand why they're doing it. Like I understand why it had to be shot like that. But that also took me out of it. Because I was like, well, they're just letting this roll to see what they get. Like it just.
Oh, I love that, man.
It just felt super weird. But kudos
that
on
didn't
Zach.
bother me.
He did a great job. Let's take a couple comments before we close this thing out.
Kim's pick.
Yeah, before we do.
Yeah,
this.
you still haven't.
No, we'll do this at the end. Russ said TJ's coming strong this week. Hot dang, man.
No.
It's all this vodka in this cup. That's what it is. Let's see. To be fair, the Outer Banks sits way off the mainland miles in some places. I don't care. That sounds like an excuse.
Dang!
I give it a 90, Brian.
That's right.
That's because
you have your mama even just slammed you in the face with that one.
I don't think my mom slammed me at all with that. Yeah, I like this interest in the car. Again, yeah, you pick up there, and then this is a good film. It could have been a great short. Russ said, I actually thought Zach was going to throw Sam on the Duncan. Yeah. I was a little surprised about that too, honestly. The whole, waking up in the car thing and all, that whole scene, how they set it up with
the hospital
crying, you see her she's gonna have to break this to him. I wanted that. That was the emotion side that I was missing in this. No spoilers, but if you have not seen Jojo Rabbit, it's a much better take on what that moment would have been like. If you haven't seen it, go watch it and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Very, very different intentions behind these two movies.
But that twist would have been the same. It would have landed the same.
It would have changed all of it, though. That's what I'm saying. I think that it would have been the ending with him not making it is technically a better ending, but him surviving was the correct ending.
Sometimes you gotta make the wrong choice.
Oh, Russ just gave it his score.
Russ, what did he say? I don't have it yet. I'm delayed. You know that. What did he say?
Okay. You still don't have it. I'll give it.
He scored it in 80. So, so he's average out the Madre, who has an audience for that movie, and Russ, who is probably just an average super fan. Yeah, 80, 85. All right, next week's pick. Next week's pick is Kimberly's. I'm gonna say it right this time because tonight this was Brian's. Next week. You ready for this, Brian? Dumpling on Netflix.
Yeah, I know about this movie. Sarah tried to get me to watch it.
Well, there you go. I think it is a chick flick, right? Kim is a little bit.
Wait, you haven't watched it, have you?
No, she tried to get me to watch it, and I was like, I ain't interested in this.
I usually check. I usually check, but I figured you would not voluntarily watch this.
Yeah.
Anything that we should know special about this movie? Should we watch it with tissues? Is it a girly movie or is it? I know nothing about it, so maybe it's better to go into it knowing nothing about it.
Go into it like that. Like I did Peanut Butter Falcon.
Peanut Butter Falcon. Falcon! Yeah, even the Peanut Butter Falcon lines in it just I don't like any of it. All right, well we'll find out next week if
Haters gonna hate.
Hey, come on, man! I'm trying to wrap this show up so we can get into our post show, and you're gonna heckle me from not on screen. It's the way this night's going. I'm sorry that I didn't like it. Maybe I'll like Dumpling. I think Jennifer Aniston's in it. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe? Yes.
Yes.
We'll find out if Jennifer
Yes.
Aniston is in it next week on Monday Movie Night.